Good evening. This is the Hannah City Village Council meeting. Today is October 15th, 2024. For everybody, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Hold on, so put sleeves on.
He's got his long sleeves on.
Yeah, long sleeves on.
Official shirt.
Wow. What are the odds of that?
Looks like rolling of a tux.
Yeah. So, first item on agenda is public recognition. Tyler?
Yep.
You want to speak?
Yeah. Not sure how this exactly goes. Just kind of tell us what you want the board to consider.
So we're here for the side-by-side matter and getting them legalized here in Hannah City, I guess, to ride on the roads. Obviously, you guys know around here, Farmington, Canton, Elmwood, Bartonville now, everybody has it legalized on the streets. I guess we're looking to do the same thing. I'm not really too picky on what we do for the, rules of the matter. I mean, insurance, stuff like that, I'm fine with all that. I'm just looking to get it done, and especially before plowing season, because I know I'll be on the road plowing driveways, so it'd be nice to have the order done and everything good to go by then. So that's about it.
You know approximately how many people? I know you got some people here supporting, but you know about how many people they have them?
Sounds like about 8 to 10 is what my understanding is. People in town, anyways, that aren't already registered in Farmington and stuff like that. Which I've seen quite a few of the Farmington side by sides over here too. So they're all noticeable because of their tags that they have. So, but it sounds like 8 to 10 or so is what my understanding is. Obviously, I live on the main drag; that'll be mine. And then Anthony, I know he's not here tonight because he has kids volleyball and basketball tonight. Yeah, a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so he messaged me. He's on the same support as it. He's going to be snow plowing this winter probably. So, but yeah. Any other questions?
One question I have is if we do legalize it, how can we assume that you guys will register and follow the ordinance?
It's actually
because right now nobody follows the ordinance.
Well, that's the big thing for me is I'll be the first to admit I've had the cops knock on my door several times about a blue side by side, which unfortunately there's more than one, but mine's a little more distinctive now that I got the 4-seater. So getting the caution signs on the back and doing numbers is the way I think you should do it, honestly, just because you can actually describe whose side by side it was and stuff like that. I don't mind the yearly or whatever we need to do, insurance or whatever the stipulations are. I would prefer it to get done so that way people can be more descriptive on who's actually riding through town and who's not. Because I've had a couple of calls where it wasn't me. I've had a couple of calls where it was me. I ain't gonna lie about that, but getting more organized and seeing what we can do to possibly eliminate some of that would be nice.
Do you know what Bartonville does?
So Bartonville adapted Farmington's code. I know that because Brett Reagan was the one that pushed for that. And that was before his accident, but he pulled Farmington's, which is essentially seatbelts, rear view mirror, insurance. You have to have insurance on it, which I think should definitely be a stipulation too.
Are they tagged?
That's a state code.
Yeah, state code on
That's
that.
a state code.
Are they tagged?
So they have the so my understanding, Farmington has the caution triangles. You have to have it displayed on the back, and you have to have your numbers that you get, for the permit at the hall on the back of the caution, so they kind of know where to look, I guess. So that's my understanding of it.
So something visible from a distance, so your numbers are big enough.
Exactly,
You can see.
white and black numbers on a caution sign. You're not going to miss that.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense.
Can I have another question. And this might be a kind of a naive question, but do they all have headlights?
Yeah,
Come
most,
winter,
I would say, unless they're really, really old, all have headlights, brake lights, all that stuff now.
Rear mirrors and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
yep, it all comes factory now. I mean, you're talking about $30,000 machines now, not $2,000 machines like back in the day, so they cost more than most cars. So
And I'm guessing that would apply to, or not apply to 116.
Right.
yeah,
No,
it wouldn't be
yeah.
116. That'd be highway 5. Yeah.
That leaves a lot of bad taste in people's mouths now, I know, because they're running up and down the highway, and people have told me, they're like, why would you allow them on city streets when they can't obey one simple rule right now and they're running up and down the highway?
Oh, and that's the
You know,
that's
and it's
the
giving
issue, too.
everybody here a black eye. I don't know who's doing it, but everybody here's got a black eye because of it. So.
Right, and
You never
that's
see anybody pulling them over either.
No, well, that's a problem, too, is they go-
Like,
They go by the county trooper, and the county trooper doesn't pull them over. So
yeah. The only thing that they told me, and I've started to try to do it. The rule of thumb is when the cops have stopped me, they said cross perpendicular, which is fine. Or if you have to, one tire on to get to the next street to get where you need to go, that's what they tell me to basically do.
yeah, because you're in a tough spot.
Yeah,
You
but-
can't cross perpendicular and leave your
And
house.
luckily, I have good enough neighbors, and they don't mind me putting the tire on the curb, getting over to the bank parking lot, then crossing.
Gotcha.
And that's never been an issue. So.
And then once you get there, you can
yeah,
loop back around and go to the west
I
side
can
town if you
pretty
need
much
to.
go anywhere I need
Yeah.
to. So.
So the cops told you if you could hang one tire on the curb
They said
to show an effort that
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get to the next side street.
the only way they said they would stop me is if I'm blasting down doing 40 through the through the entire road, which I understand. I've done it before and I've gotten pulled over. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. But since then, since they explained the rules and they've worked with me to follow up on other stuff happening, and I've been respectful since that time. So I guess that's why I'm here now. Is trying to get that figured out and get to a better place on that too. So.
Did we, when we previously had golf carts, were we checking them yearly?
Yes.
We do.
Yeah.
And we actually have a free day so people can come over here and our guys check everything. We don't charge them for it because we want as many people to register as possible.
Right. I just want to be identified, because I've got 2 around here that look just like mine. Luckily, I did a bunch of work to mine now, so it's a little bit more distinctive. But still, people that don't know side by sides are just saying I'm blue side by side. You know what I mean? Which sucks.
Is that our kid?
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be nice if we could issue the triangle sign.
Yeah.
If we decide to, if the
That's a
board
great
Well,
idea.
issue
I thought the
triangle sign.
triangle was what you had to get on
Yeah,
there,
it's-
that you get,
Yeah.
you buy, and
Yeah,
we
it's
just get
Put a big
numbers.
ID in the middle of it.
But
Yeah.
if we were to get them and issue them, then they would have a distinct number on them.
Yeah, I would say each person is identified with their own number. That's fine.
We're not gonna eat the cost.
Right.
What they actually do is put a decal on that triangle sign.
Yeah.
Right.
You would get a Hannah City decal that would say you had a permit for that.
Right. So, yeah.
That's what all the other towns do anyway.
That's a good idea. Put it right in the center of the SMV and then it sticks out.
Yeah. Any other questions that I can help with? I'll say it sounds like these guys have some knowledge on it too, to be honest with you, so that's kind of helpful.
Well, the way our process works is normally people come and present an idea,
Right.
and the board will talk about it, and then I'll probably get an assignment to do some research, go around
Right.
and check the other towns and find some stuff, and then eventually gather it all together, and then the board will consider it and vote on it. And go
Okay.
from there.
And when does the vote on it typically happen?
I guess it depends on how long it would take to get all the information together. Our next meeting after this one is November 5th. That's a 3-week gap.
Okay.
Normally it's a 2-week gap every 2 weeks, but every once in a while the way the weeks fall is we wind up with a 3-week gap. So the earliest it would be November 5th.
Ordinance would have to be written or copied if there's a good one existing out there.
I know our Martinville's new one looks somewhat manageable for what it is. I mean, we don't have a large population that's going to have them, and it seems like most people are just going to Gills here in town or riding. I know we'll be going back and forth to the horse stable, which is right behind us. So
We
that's
use the
my-
same attorney as Farmington. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So absolutely, yep. Well, I appreciate you guys hearing it out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler.
Anybody else have anything they wanted to share?
I'm just gonna go down the list. Cindy?
We're here to support him.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
Chuck?
the state sets a guideline for all of that, for the whole thing. You gotta have a horn, turn signals.
Brake
It's a
lights, turn
state
signal.
requirement when you're hitting public highways.
Anybody getting multiple cities?
Pardon?
Anybody getting multiple city permits?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can get Knox County,
Yeah.
the whole thing, which we do have.
I'll say Farmington did let me get a permit over there, so I do have Farmington stickers for when I'm in town at our buddy Ty's house. So I do have one of those as well on mine. I just take it off when I'm here in town. So that'd be another question, I guess, if we're going to allow out of town people to register them here as well. I didn't really think about that.
I guess the rule would be is if they're riding here, they would need.
Yeah, if you're right here, you need it. So yeah, if you bring it here,
I think that would eliminate the 6 side-by-sides lined up outside of places and leaving like idiots. So I think that'd be helpful.
What's the fine set on the golf carts if you get caught without?
I don't know. I think the fines in general are $25 to $750 is a range that we use depending on.
Yeah, better raise it for side-by-sides. Get your money out of it. Get the out-of-towners. I'm down for that.
yeah.
I'm tired of the door
to be
knocks.
honest with you, our mindset generally is the money really doesn't matter. We just want people to follow the rules and be safe.
Yeah, that's what I want to
Yeah.
make is the door knocks, to be honest with you. So, good idea.
I do have one question. So I'm generally kind of supporting it now. Do the cities around us, do you guys have any knowledge? Is there a time frame? Like a window where it's legal? The only reason, I mean, we've all seen the websites, we've all heard the comments. People don't like it at midnight, right?
Oh, yeah.
So is it only allowed during certain hours? Because that's the only headache that I can see in my head.
If it's a motor vehicle and it's allowed on a street, it's pretty much.
Yeah.
That's I thought it was 10.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that, like, I think we need to make a special recommendation that we follow that, because, I mean, all of us have heard that at one time or another, where, you know, people are like, we're hearing it all hours of night. And I want to, you know, my thought process is I want them to be able to do their work, especially if they're plowing. I mean, obviously that's a separate thing. If they're trying to plow someone out after a snowstorm, that's one thing. But
Sure.
I can already hear the public reaction if we don't have a time frame on it.
Yeah, like running up and down the street at 3 a.m.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good luck enforcing them.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
but it would be
By the
a
time they call it county,
courtesy
they're gonna
thing,
be 50 miles away.
because if
But-
it becomes an issue, then next year they're going to
Here's my problem with all of it.
no.
All these other towns got police forces. We do not. How you gonna enforce anything?
Yeah,
How are you gonna stop it? How are you gonna stop it from happening anyhow? You might as well make money on it.
Right.
Or have
Yeah,
it-
how
yeah.
you enforce it?
Yeah,
My
I'm just
point
saying.
isn't really
Yeah,
to
people that
enforce
want to
it,
be
it's
legal,
just
legal.
that it's listed, right? And at that point, if somebody from the city was upset about it, we could say, well, it is posted that there's a time limit. And at that point, it's not our problem, it's the county, because there are police.
I mean, one option is make sure that the state, the Peoria County Sheriff know that that's a point of emphasis. The other thing we've been thinking about is maybe if someday we need our part-time code enforcement officer, rather than a police person, but a code enforcement person. We've got a part-time inspector. And
Yeah.
maybe-
Yeah, the only concern I have is, are they going to be tearing up the roads we just spent thousands of dollars?
No, they're really light. I doubt. I mean,
Well, I know, but
Side
have
by
you
side
seen the way
won't
some
tear
people drive?
they're
Lighter.
Yeah, they're so light.
I
I
mean,
wouldn't
I
worry about
see-
it's weight that's going to kill those trees. You're not.
I say, if anything, it usually eats up the tires on the side-by-sides, to be honest with you.
Well,
Yeah.
but they're
We have
gravel,
soft
they're
tires.
not like they're not asphalt.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying like they're soft tires.
Yeah.
That's what they're made for, is to be sticky for hill climbing and stuff.
And dirt.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not made like the old tires.
It's
that are-
actually the
Right.
other way around. I mean,
Right.
driving
Right.
ATVs on the
Right.
road is really hard on the tires because they're a
Yeah.
softer rubber and stuff than a car tire, so it chews the tires up more than it chews
Hot,
the road
hot
up.
days, you'll
It's
see
the
my
op-
tread
yeah.
lane behind me. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, it's bad. I haven't been in my driveway constantly, so.
You can usually tell someone if they've ridden four-wheel or side-by-side on roads, paved roads a ton because the tires
Yeah.
get chewed up and bald
Mhm.
quick on them. Yeah.
Dwight?
Yeah.
Just here to support also?
Yeah.
Okay. Dirk?
Same.
We appreciate you coming, sharing your thoughts. And
I appreciate you guys hearing us out.
Yeah, we don't
get
get
people
come here a whole
Yeah.
lot, so I'm gonna be here regularly now. I'll have your friends. I got an empty seat right now. Eric is, but.
It's a small town. You
Okay.
I got more.
Eric dressed up for you guys.
I gotta type it in the minutes.
Coincidence, too.
Tyler, what's your last name? So she can.
Where EAUGHER. Sorry, my handwriting.
That's okay. And then
Dirk is Jennings.
okay. I'm like, I just have to type it in. So. And then Cindy.
Milliman, Millin.
Okay, M-A. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming out. We don't get people to come here a whole lot, so it's nice to know that the public actually has input on something. Show up and talk about it.
Yeah, and we do have this live. We have a Zoom meeting every time we have a meeting. We have it on Zoom, so even if something you can't make, come in and let other residents know. Hey, you can get online and watch the meeting. And we'll always have public input at the beginning. So if someone's got a question on something, they're more welcome to present too. We have one resident who has been coming for a couple years now. He's about the only resident that does it.
So we always offer the invitation. You're willing to sit through the rest of the meeting if you want, but if you've done your business and you're free to go, you're welcome to do that too. So
perfect.
Nice meeting you all.
Yeah. It's nice to meet you.
Keep him under control.
Yeah. It's the other way around. I have to keep my neighbors under control.
Anymore.
And thanks for listening to us.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night. Stay warm.
Next item up is.
Hey, before we leave that, just a quick question. I assume you want me to go ahead and research the ordinances and
Yes.
Sorry, Tony.
Nope, you're fine.
I'd talk to the county too. And see how willing they are to
help us enforce.
Mainly just to keep them off 116.
Yeah.
I think driving down.
My thoughts when it comes to enforcement, like I know we obviously don't have a full-time force. We can't have a squad car just hanging out waiting for someone in a side-by-side to come by. But I'm thinking if it were part of the law, that more than a couple of residents would be more than willing to name names if there were.
Oh,
they already name names.
They name names,
especially with a big number on the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it already is a law.
I mean,
how do they? That's a gray area though, because SMV sign is for farm stuff. So
Well, it's slow moving vehicle in
right?
general.
So who's you can drive any tractor down 116.
Mm-hmm.
So what's to say that Farmer John's not using his side by side for his farm and he drives it down 116 with his SMV sign?
We still can't do that though. It's not a farm implement. It's the
gray area.
No, it's not. It's defined in the state code. It's not gray. It's
It can
defined
be
in
on
the
the
state
country
code.
roads, but
Yeah.
So another
think
thing
it
I'm
can.
interested in is there in the other codes, do they have engine size parameters? Like, are you allowed any size engine, any size side by side? The only reason I'm wondering is because one of the things we've been talking about is the speeding on 116. We're having cars hitting 102. Are we going to have that same? I don't know anything about side by side.
They can't drive on 116 to begin with.
Right.
So they can't drive on there to begin with. They can cross perpendicular, but that's it. Same with the golf carts. Same with
I think
same with
he's
anything
talking
really.
about going down like last year, City Blacktop Murphy.
Am I going to be seeing? Are we going to see cars doing the Autobahn on Murphy Road, or not cars, but side by sides?
I do think we've got the sheriff's department's attention though, because I don't know if you saw the numbers, if I forwarded them to you or not, but I think they had 24 stops in the month of September and eight violations. So they're starting to hear us when we say we need these point of emphasis.
Yeah.
And I do think it's worth noting, I had not thought about it, but I never thought about the snow removal aspect. We are a small town, and that's going to be a huge thing. To have members of the town that are willing to assist other people.
Well, they do it for hire.
I mean, they do it for hire, but at the same time.
Well, they do it now. Just no one says anything because they're going around making money.
I know, but I never really thought about that when, with my own, constructing my own opinion on the matter. And I know personally, I think it makes more sense thinking about them as a tool versus just a toy that someone's running through town. So.
Yeah, I mean, the one guy that wasn't here, he plows a lot. When there's a big snow, he plows a ton of driveways.
But with your
ton of driveways.
side by side?
Huh?
With
Yeah.
side by side?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like
They're more powerful than you think.
He
too.
plows a ton of driveways, a ton. You know, it's all momentum, and they got they're big now. I mean, they're like a small car.
Yeah.
You know, especially the 4-seater ones. I mean, they're momentum. So get some speed built up, and they get enough weight behind them. No, you're not going to go to the street and drop the plow and just crawl down and push 3 feet of snow ahead of you, but for driveways and stuff,
Shauna, do you have access to Farmington's ordinance, or do I need to request that from them?
You can probably reach it online. They have their ordinances on there. I can see if I can.
Yeah, I guess I'd like a copy of it. If somebody could send me a copy. If you find one, that's great, or I can reach out to them.
Okay. I have the state statute here about non-highway vehicles, which includes golf carts and things like that. And they are illegal to drive on other roads unless the municipality allows it within the streets and highways and roads that they have jurisdiction over, which is what you would be doing. And as Tyler was saying, it does require that they have brakes, steering, tires, rear view mirror, taillights, headlights, seat belts, turn signals. It mentions all that in the statute. So I can also send you a copy of that as well if you'd like, Brian.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think I don't want to recreate the wheel. So if you guys have already written an ordinance for Farmington and we can just modify it, that would be perfect.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Thank you.
Does anybody know what the average town's charging for that stuff?
$1,000.
I don't think it's very much.
500 you, 500 me?
Wait.
A year, or is it buy-in for a year?
25 a year.
Our golf cart permits are $50 a year if you don't come on the free day.
We offered the free day so people would come, and so they weren't worried about paying the $50.
What's that? I know we've talked about this, but what is that? Are people following it?
We get when we started offering the free day, we got more people to come, but we don't get everybody.
How many total is there, you think? 50,
I think the biggest year we had like 6, I think, but most of the time it's like
it's not that big.
4.
No, yeah, and that's it.
You don't see
Everybody on Lakeshore has them.
I was gonna say I see a lot of golf carts.
We're going to give you a ticket book.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I think the problem that we had with those was someone was seeing a child in it. They weren't sitting down, and they were
It's like an 8-year-old driving it down the
116.
street, yeah.
So that's why we started offering it free, so we could get those people. So we knew who had them and told them, you have to, the kids can't just be bouncing around. So.
All right, So everybody should have a copy of our October 1st, 2024 meeting.
Make a motion we approve the minutes as submitted. Yeah, we're in about
Good work. Motion by Johnson, second by Weaver. Any further discussion, comment, correction? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
There's a packet over here of everything we're going through if you're interested.
I'm going to have to take off and go horse shortage.
Okay. Thanks for coming. Thank you.
So next item up is approval of treasurer's report. Ms. Cassandra?
Thank you. There is one thing out of the ordinary, the IML-RMA, which is our insurance, our property and auto insurance is on this. So it is a little higher than normal because of that, $27,000 per year.
Just the way in the background, a couple of years ago, I think when Jeff was on the board with his insurance background, we kind of looked through all that, looked at other vendors, and it's just hard to beat IMLA because that's what they do for the municipalities. So.
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report and pay all outstanding debts.
I'll second it.
Motion by Pearson, second by Chris Johnson. Any further discussions, comments? We'll roll call it. Weaver?
Yes.
Miller?
Yeah.
Pearson?
Yes.
Chris Johnson?
Yes.
Sidak?
Yes.
Caleb Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carried. And we don't have anything from Brandon yet?
No, Joe prepared the proposal for the sidewalk engineering. It's in the packet and was covered under the streets and alleys portion. That's it.
Shauna, brings us down to you, attorney's report.
Okay, well, Title III is just about complete, depending on if you want to add the side-by-sides to that portion of the code. And Title IV is in progress, and hopefully we'll get that review to Brian soon.
Yeah, so be looking for the Title III to be sent out to you in the next, I would say, week to review your thoughts on it.
Anything else, Shauna?
No, that's all.
Administrative report?
Yeah, I only got the financials this time, so it's another strong month driven predominantly by September is our second biggest property tax month. So if you look at our core funds, we had $174,490 in income. Expenses were a little bit below what we budgeted at $98,262. So a non-adjusted number of $76,228 positive for the month. And then the next slide, you can see each of the areas. So general was positive, unemployment positive, water, everything was positive, with the exception of garbage. And we had our second round of audit expenses. They billed us in August and September for the audit, financial audit. We distribute those amongst each of the areas, but that's what drove the garbage to be a little bit higher on the cost side. So for the month, we were positive $76,228. General was up 50. Income better than budget. Property and sales tax. Sales tax is stronger than it has been the last several months, so that's good. Expenses were lower than budget. I guess I don't need to go through all that. Water, sewer, garbage. You can see kind of where everything was against plan. MFT, we didn't have any expenses, and we had our little higher than our normal income for the month. The expenses that we budgeted was basically timing. They've already hit, so the expenses are all in for this year's MFT program. The TIF number, we had a big, strong number, 61,784. That's property tax number that came in for the month. Keeping in mind that one of the things we'll be voting on eventually is we give back a portion of the property tax to the coffee can as part of the development agreement. And then also we give back 80% of the residential incremental dollars back to the other taxing bodies. So those things will happen once all the property taxes are in for the year, which I believe is we get our last one in December. September BDD income was $14,664, so that's strong. That's good because it's showing the sales tax was up. We had some grant money that we sent out, so that's where the costs were, and I think there's some audit dollars in there as well. So a summary there that I put those summaries in there just so that Denise has something to throw in the minutes rather than have to keep up with everything I'm saying. Year-to-date core funds, then income $775,921, expenses of $546,766. So a non-adjusted number of $229,155 for the good. And then if you go to the next slide, if we adjust it, so adjusted thus far as we've taken out the ARPA money and then the Lagoon Solar project, $52,000 there. So I backed that out of the water and sewer numbers. So that takes the positive variance up to 294, almost 300,000. So I'm just trying to show what did we spend in cash versus what are we spending operational. Then you can look at the year-to-date core funds. That's the unadjusted number. So you can see sewer was negative because of that $52,000 for the lagoon. You go to the next slide, and I back that out. We're positive across the board. So every area is doing well. But again, we won't have much property tax for the remaining of the last 7 months, so we'll start eating into some of our surplus. I'm not going to go through the summary slide. MFT year-to-date, we've got almost $25,000 worth of income. I think the 2024 program expenses are pretty much all processed in that 61,000 number. We will have some 2025 preparatory dollars that will come in for next year's program. But that'll, as always, every year that'll catch up. We'll have the income come in and it'll catch up with the expenses. Year-to-date TIF is really strong, 160,481. But again, keep in mind, coffee can dollars. I think that's about $10,000 this year, and estimate. And then the residential, 80% of the residential that'll be paid back to the other taxing bodies will have to come out. BDD, again, income higher than what we had budgeted, more like the year before last, which is good. Hopefully that is sustainable. Expenses are pretty close to being on target, so everything's going fine there. And then I've got summary slide. And then if you look at cash, I think if you look at total cash at 245, 230, I think that's the most cash that I can remember we've ever reported that we had on hand. So on checking, we've got 538,000. We had a monthly variance of 127, 239. Again, mostly driven by property tax. We ended up moving $95,000 from checking to Illinois funds after we went through the numbers. Savings were at 1.9, so positive variance, year-to-date positive variance. So anyway, cash was good and strong. And then you can see the details of the cash on the spreadsheet, which is the next document in the deck. So it tracks each of the accounts and how much we're putting in them and so forth. So good financial report year-to-date.
Any questions? Thank you, Brian.
Yes, sir.
We'll go to Finance Committee reports. Finance, Mr. Pearson.
Nothing to report.
Planning and Zoning, Mr. Caleb Johnson.
Nothing to report.
Sanitary Sewer, Chris Johnson.
Nothing to report for sanitary or sewer.
Chris Johnson for Water.
Yes, sir. I do have some. Excuse me. I do have new refunds, adjustments, and shut-off list. 20 total shut-offs, totaling $6,329.09. 6329.09. We got zero. That's not right.
On level pay.
Yeah, I'm looking for zero level pay. Excuse me. Total amount in foreclosure 1,010 and 55 cents. 1010.55. Approximate gallons sold.
How many were in foreclosure?
So I have zero. Well, hold on. This is where it always gets me. It says it's the zero here tricks me, so I have to count it out. 8. Approximate gallons sold 2,305,859. 2,305,859. I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is I did hear, I followed up with Pleasant Valley in regards to pricing, and they did have their meeting on the 8th, and I asked to know what they ended up deciding in terms of pricing, and they told me they were going to send me the meeting minutes when they were ready, so I haven't received it.
Buildings and Ground, Mr. Weaver.
We had to get the dump truck repaired. Invoice to Ron's Auto and Tire, $1,174.41.
Just one note I would make is they always get it ready before the snow flies, and there was a few extra things that needed to be done. We always quote both Zane's and somebody else where they've been using Ron's lately. If it's close, we always use Zane's. If there's a significant difference, then they go with the lower. But I just wanted you to understand why we didn't have to go with Zane's this time.
I make a motion that we approve the invoice for $1,174.41.
Motion by Pearson, Sidak, sorry.
I'll second it.
Second by Weaver, you beat me, Chris.
Oh,
Oh, never mind. I didn't hear you. I don't like the silence.
Any further discussion, comments? We'll roll call that. Miller?
Yep.
Pearson?
Yes.
Chris Johnson?
Yes.
Sidak? Yes. Caleb Johnson?
Yes.
Weaver? Yes. Motion carried.
That's it for buildings and grounds.
Streets and alleys, Mr. Weaver.
We have the engineering proposal for the sidewalks in Farnsworth. Their scope of work is the pre-final plan, specifications, estimates submitted to the village and IDOT February 21st of 25. And comments received from the village and IDOT March 14th. Final plan, specifications, and estimates submitted to the village April 11th. Project bidding spring of 2025. And then project construction in summer of 2025. Their proposal is $38,750.
That's lower than we were anticipating.
They estimated 40, so a little bit
Yeah.
more. There's a picture of the drawing in there of the work that'll be done. Caleb, I'll be interested in your thoughts on whether you like the proposal as it's written. And then if you decide and vote yes, you want to do this, then we need to talk about, and that's about how you want to fund it. Last time we talked about doing it through BDD, but I guess we need to vote on how you want to do it.
We need to vote on how we're gonna pay for it now.
If we're gonna use BDD funds, there's a whole form and process, which is the next thing in the deck that I have to go through to get approval that we can use BDD funds for it.
For the professional services, we use the BDD funds?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I guess all we'd be saying is not approving the dollars, but that we're gonna use BDD funds to do it. I guess that would be the distinction. Or we can use street funds. And if you look at your cash sheet, you can see how much money we've got in each of those accounts.
I think the thought was like to basically get it to this point, and then if we want to wait until we hear about the water tower, all the other stuff we can.
Right, we'd just be paying for the engineering at this point is what I think the discussion was. That's your point.
This would be to get us a shovel-ready project, not to actually.
Once again, this weekend, I was at the car wash. I seen two different people pushing various carts and wagons. One was a wagon, one was a cart from Dollar General, all the way to the car wash parking lot and up to the next corner.
Yeah.
Brings up an interesting question though. If you put a sidewalk in, will they use the sidewalk or will they still go through the?
Oh, I think so.
I think so.
Because you end up with that awkward spot where you got to turn and go up to the highway and walk up the center of the street.
Yep.
Just make it easier.
They walk right up the street and then to the sidewalk on the east side.
I mean, it'd be changed. I'm assuming they won't put the strip of sod in like they showed in the exhibit that no one will take care of.
I don't know.
I mean, it said it'd be a 7-foot sidewalk. I assume it'd be 7-foot curbside. They show a strip
No,
of.
they said that it required something from the road to the sidewalk.
From the curb to the sidewalk?
Yeah.
We don't have it in other places where we had to do it.
Make it an 8-foot sidewalk then and put extra concrete there.
Yeah, because who's going to maintain that?
Exactly.
That was in one of our.
I nominate Caleb.
Won't happen. If they're 10 feet tall, they won't touch it. Yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal for later on if there's something to discuss. The only thing I worry about a little bit is
Would that be cheaper?
That corner,
it'll be more expensive. Well, cheaper to not put more concrete in,
that corner.
Well, I worry how much right of way there is in front of here. And if IDOT, it's our own funds, so we probably won't need to get any easements. Depending on certain funds that are used, sometimes they make you get construction easements from the people there because can't avoid being on the property to build something like this, just nature of the beast. And that's not included in this price. Neither is actually establishing the right of way on 116, which makes me a little nervous because they say they're going to do a limited search for existing right of way monuments in the topographic limits, but basically it sounds like they're not going to worry about establishing the right of way, which I think they should be able to for that, just to make sure we don't need, just to make sure the sidewalk does fit on there. I'm assuming there's enough room that maybe they're confident there is and they're not worried about it, but I guess like clarification on that. Or if they think there'd be any chance that we'd be required to get like construction easements from the car wash and Casey's, if IDOT would require that, because then if they do, then that would be extra cost on here.
Right.
I mean, it isn't going to affect the timeline because it says we have to accept this by October 14th, so that's already not going to happen. So, otherwise, I mean, pretty basic.
So I think the question is, do we want to proceed with the engineering portion of the project at this price? That's question one.
I think it's a good project.
Same.
You up?
I said, I think it's a good project to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's money well spent.
The more I pay attention to it, the more people I see walking.
Yeah,
I took two little girls in,
I had to run up
and they
there.
had a Dollar General bag.
Yep.
I ran up there the other night.
I see people
About
pulling
7
carts
o'clock.
getting groceries, whether they have one car in the household and that person's going to work during the day and they go get groceries. Look, I mean, there's people that have one car households and they go get groceries with, see them pulling those little shopping carts and little, hand carts.
It was a middle-aged, well.
So
I keep thinking I've seen it numerous times. There's a man in town that's like a handicapped scooter. I've seen on 116 because there's no sidewalk there.
Trying to get
And that's
by.
what makes me really want this because he can't duck under a rope, right, in the car wash. And
Oh yeah, exactly. So he's got to go around on.
Yeah, he's got blocks there.
He's got concrete blocks
that are
there.
like.
Yeah.
And that's horrifying, right? Can you imagine being
yeah.
a handy-capable person and you're not able to? I mean, he's going on a highway.
Yeah.
And we got people going 102, right?
Yeah.
That's on Tennessee Black.
Yeah.
And then over Murphy Road, what is this connection? I thought before they showed a connection across McAllister to something at Dollar General.
No,
It's only going to the edge there, and then you'd have to cross McAllister to go to Dollar General. So you'd have to cross McAllister. You're gonna have to cross McAllister.
Well, I know you got cross McAllister, but what are they coming across to in there? Just the car entrance to?
Yeah, that's almost.
There's no sidewalk at Dollar General. There's no additional sidewalk at Dollar General. It's just coming
it
down.
seems like we almost need to cross the road and do something that connects to the parking lot, so you're not going in the car entrance.
Because they have that other inlet.
Guy with the motor scooter, guy with the scooter is going to get there, and then it's almost like we're doing 95% of the job, or 99.
Well, there was an issue with that, wasn't there?
I don't remember.
There is a nice crater right there as soon as you pull in.
Well, yeah, they ran the power to the sign and didn't compact the trench. Yeah, exactly.
What would you add?
Something on the other side to receive a ramp on the other side.
Rather
And
than
then-
just going in the car entrance.
Yeah. As a pedestrian. Yes,
It's
exactly.
probably crosswalk.
Yeah.
Another
Well,
entrance.
but I know there was something that they said why they didn't want to do that, because then you'd have to stop traffic on
Oh, because you're not
McAllister.
crossing a corner?
Yeah, that's
Oh.
why they chose not to do it, because
That's a good memory. I don't remember that.
something about, I can't remember it all.
Well, you wouldn't have to stop
Something
traffic. But you may have
Something
to have.
about because they would be crossing that traffic, whereas Pekin Lane you don't have as much traffic because McAllister you have people going all the way down to the dump, things like that. So they
Well, they're
There's
still
not-
going
no traffic on
to
McAllister.
have to stop for people crossing McAllister at Casey's or in the driveway entrance, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
and I'm thinking it was it might have been something to do with the cost. Like it was going to double the cost just to do that.
Well, I can ask the question.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear the explanation of that. That I can't imagine whatever. Even if you had to put a flashing yellow light there, that would be a $150,000 flashing yellow light. You know, I can't imagine that would double the cost of the
If you
job.
cut the sidewalk, the 75 feet short from going all the way to the entrance to Casey's and just move it to the other corner, it should be about the same price, right?
You mean cross up at the corner of the highway?
Instead of right, and if you cut that off and just put it over here.
I think there's a reason they wrapped it down there and didn't go across at that, because you'd be crossed up the highway there.
Is it because it's a county road?
Maybe. I don't know.
Could they?
Or there's, well, and if you cross right there, there's really nowhere to go to, 'cause you have the state highway ditch and everything.
No, but I think it's safer to do that.
Yeah.
Than to go
Yeah,
across right
well,
there.
it'll get you farther from the highway too.
And you have the big highway ditch you'd have to get across and everything. Yeah, I think crossing back there is the smart thing to do, but there's got to be something on the other side to take them. I'm curious why they didn't, you know.
I've got the notes. I've got right away, the sod versus the concrete and the ramp on the Dollar General.
Yeah, can we do, even if it means making an 8-foot sidewalk, can we just pour concrete all the way to the back of curb, you know, and not have the sod, number one. Number two, they said they're not really going to establish the right-of-way in 116. Are they positive they won't, you know, get off the right-of-way for anything? And if construction gets off, well, IDOT make us have an easement. Do we need to establish that? And then number three, what's on the other side of McAllister Road over there that we would, you know, we can complete it? Because they have us redoing the ramp on the east side of Pekin Lane there, and redoing that, and I'm sure it may involve even grabbing a couple extra pieces of sidewalk going the other direction, whatever. That won't be a big deal at the time. Yeah, I mean, even if you got to replace another 10 or 15 feet of sidewalk from that ramp, that's not a big deal. But yeah, the other side of McAllister would be a big thing. And, you know, if you got a ramp to accept people and then a little stub of sidewalk to connect onto the concrete of Dollar General, then you've really got the complete circuit. So,
Can you remind me something? So why can't we just put a little sidewalk right here? Because that grade is pretty flat, and that would say like the person in the wheelchair, the people in the carts, they would have their own little sidewalk, not in traffic. And then right here, that's already going to be roped off. Why can't they just put that's like 8 feet of sidewalk?
as opposed to building all this to get to Dollar General?
No,
Or
I'm
in
just
addition
saying,
to this.
In addition
Oh,
to
yeah.
this, because part of the problem you're talking about
Yeah.
is it's a traffic hazard, right?
Well-
if they have an 8-foot little sidewalk
Yeah.
right here to this turnabout, that completely eliminates the fact that you're going to have a pedestrian and a hover round that's going to be pulling in, and someone's coming off the highway trying to get in that same entrance.
Well, I thought about the exact same thing for the laundromat too. Is what would it take to put a stub on? I mean, would the laundromat be interested in cutting their curb and and having a stub of sidewalk coming off to dump into their parking lot? You know, the same thing you're talking about with Dollar General, a little stub of that takes you across that grass area and jumps into Dollar General's parking lot,
Right there.
and then you can you stay away from traffic and go all the way around.
That's like 8 feet.
Yeah.
I made that note.
Or at least we put the stub back to the right of way. And then if they want to build another connecting piece and do it themselves, at least the stub's right there.
Yeah.
Put one square sidewalk in or something.
To me, that's a quick win. But
Yeah.
again, I don't know easements and I don't know construction.
Well, we can build it to the right of way line, and then if they want to add on and continue into their parking lot, they can. You know.
I don't know if Casey's going to do with it.
Did we ask them?
No, Casey's was fine. They we talked about going behind it. That's the primary conversation I had. And I know when I had some preliminary conversations with the car wash, and they're excited about it. So.
I don't know why Casey would really care about having a sidewalk in front.
Yeah,
No,
having a sidewalk to go to the car wash laundromat would be nice.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
I mean, they'll lose the semi, but I don't know if the semi still pull in front of Casey's off the highway or not. I think they pull into the parking lot now since they got diesel, but
yeah.
They used to be some that parked in front on the highway on the shoulder there and had it all wallered out. But yeah, I'd ask those questions when we can.
I guess we can still vote, and if there's changes and increases, we can just deal with that later.
Yeah, exactly. We could just do it and just get some clarification on that, and yeah. I mean, one way or another, it's not gonna. They're going to be doing the exact same amount of work to get started as far as the surveys, except if they weren't going to cross McAllister and do anything over there. Otherwise, it's going to be the exact same amount of work. So, and then I think Tony brought up too before what were their thoughts on that really steep ditch by the car wash there?
Yeah.
Is that going to be a sidewalk and then like a 7-foot drop off the side of there? I mean, it's literally going to be right on the edge of that ditch.
Yeah.
And then if it is, what would it be to?
Is that the city's?
No, I thought they
is
were
that the
redoing
city's
a
ditch?
culvert
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That was the city's ditch?
Yeah.
I
I
thought
said-
they
I
were
said put
redoing that.
Concrete.
I've never heard. Most of the stuff you're talking about, you said they said. I must not have been at that meeting because I've never heard it.
Did you miss that? I tossed all my old paperwork already.
But I would thought they would extend. We talked about asking about if they're planning on extending that pipe a little bit and filling some of that in so it's not a strict drop off, or having to put a hammer on the side of it, you know, rather just fill in the ditch a
Yeah,
little
because
bit.
we've had to put
Run a
riprap in there
bicycle
a
down
couple
off of
times.
it?
Yeah, I mean that would be the thing. You know,
4 years ago, 5 years ago, we had to put riprap in there.
yeah, that they just constantly, it's just vertical,
Washes
it's just
out.
this bare dirt all the time. So if you could extend that pipe and get rid of some of that, then so it's not such a canyon.
Yeah.
That'd be question 4.
So what are we gonna do?
Oh, we approve it. I mean,
They made hammer.
yeah, make a motion. We accept the proposal. Pending those questions because we want to do the project. Those aren't going to sink or make it or break it. We just want to know if we need to add something else on to make it exactly what we're thinking. So
I have a motion.
nothing else. We're going to do this minimum. So
Yeah. I have a motion by Johnson to approve the engineering proposal plus the additional questions we have for Farnsworth and Associates.
Second.
And second by Pearson. Any further questions, discussion? And we'll roll call it. Pearson,
Yes.
Chris Johnson,
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
Caleb Johnson,
yes,
Weaver,
Yes.
Miller.
Yep.
Motion carries. Now the thing is do we want to fund this out of BDD or do we want to fund this out of streets and alleys?
Probably just the 38,000.
It'd be the engineering at this point.
yeah.
That's your BDD.
I'd say BDD.
The last time we talked about the project in general, one of the things we liked about using some economic development dollars for this is because not everybody gets grants, right? And so this is a project that at least in part would be funded by economic development that the whole town would get some benefit.
It's a way to
from.
spread those
Yeah.
dollars to everybody
Yeah.
that's not eligible for a specific
doesn't-
individual grant.
Or for those that, don't need that, they can say, well, hey, at least the city's putting the money to good need for us.
Convince me. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I agree with
Agreed.
Rob.
Shutters.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did send a note to the CEDC, and they got general support from them that they like the idea and like the project, and are okay with using funds here. I guess I would like to hear from Zach. I mean, it's your area. We do got right now 63 and 189. So what's that?
Plenty.
Funny.
Well, you got to remember, you got some of that's earmarked for grants. But yes, we have the money in BDD to cover it.
Existing applications or future
We have 3 or 4 existing
grants that could take
yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah,
I was saying because the future grant program can always be modified to accommodate the
we've
sidewalk
got
project
about 60 grand, or maybe a little less.
that's committed
I think we have four commercial grants
that are out.
that are out.
Okay, yeah. And we may just need to moderate the grant program to accommodate the sidewalk if we have to, because.
Well, that's going to be the next question, is because unless you're going to use a ton of the street money because what they say, 2.25 to build it, you're going to have to find that money as well. And I don't think any one account has that.
Mm-hmm.
So
we can spread that around.
And we just the reason I need to know if you want to use BDD funds for it is there's a process we have to go to request those dollars.
I'm all for you completing that process.
Do we need a vote?
Yes, we do. So I'll entertain
We're
a
delegating the
motion.
completion of that process.
I will entertain a motion to approve BDD funding requisition form so we can fund the project out of BDD.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
hate to say this. Motion by Johnson, second by Johnson. By Johnson and Johnson. And we will need a roll call that. So, Chris Johnson,
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
Caleb Johnson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Miller,
Yep.
Pearson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Brian, do you want to alert the news media that
We're going to do the engineering on this Friday.
they were interested before?
They did call when they saw it on the agenda. I'm just glad that somebody's looking at the
I
agenda.
know,
seriously? Are you joking or did they actually?
No, they actually called.
On the sidewalk?
Yeah, what?
25
They want to
minutes,
know
man.
more about the 116 sidewalk.
And how we were gonna pay
Well, Rod's open for interviews, I'm sure. He's the streets and alleys.
That's a mayor job.
Must be slow news day if that's what's happening.
That's what that's
So
exactly.
you guys are billing it? No, not yet. You guys are bidding it? No, not quite. So they start design. No, we just approved the money so they can start designing.
So CEDC, Mr. Sidak.
All right, we have got a grant funding reimbursement approval for the Coffin project, which there's just some tree removal and some grinding. Too soft trees. And they're pretty soft.
Oh, did you sign
Just think how long
the document
I'm about to
for
make a motion to approve it, so you better hurry.
engineering?
Our total came out to $3,842.87. So I'll make a motion that we approve the disbursement of the aforementioned funds.
So is that done then? Because it's got plus cost of new tree to be determined.
Yeah, that's in the number.
Oh, okay.
It's in the final number.
Okay.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Sidak, second by Chris Johnson. Any further discussion, comments? And we'll roll call it. Sidak?
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
Caleb Johnson?
Yep.
Weaver?
Yes.
Miller?
Yeah.
Pearson?
Yes.
Chris Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
So that'll be signed, scanned, original to Sarah. Copy to me. You got it.
Okay, next object. I'm trying to look for these. Are these are separate numbers, but they are identical numbers.
Correct. So
The top number is split in two.
Yes.
So basically what happens every year based upon the agreement that we have with the coffee can is we kick back sales tax, which comes out of general, a portion of sales tax which comes out of general, a BDD tax, which comes out of BDD, and then also property tax that comes out of TIF up until we reach the cap. And that's the next document that shows the cap. So what we're voting on this time is the sales tax and BDD tax reimbursement for the coffee can per the development agreement that we have.
All right. So can I just do both these numbers together?
You can. Yeah, just do the 2753.70.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the reimbursement of the coffee can sales tax at the cost of $2,753.70.
Second.
I have a motion by Sidak, second by Pearson. Any further discussion, comments? And we'll roll call it. Caleb Johnson?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Miller?
Yeah.
Pearson?
Yes.
Chris Johnson?
Yes.
Sidak?
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next piece of paper in your document, because you guys always ask this when we do this. So you can see there we paid on 10/7. We just approved those 1376.85 numbers. So the cap was 245. So far they've turned in eligible project cost of $231,9854. To subtract everything that we've reimbursed to this point, we're at $122,279.71, counting what we approved tonight. Property tax, the final property tax will come in at the end of the year when we get the final number in December. They estimated that to be about $10K, which would drop that number to what, $112. So if you divide out what we're paying this year by the $112, it's got about 9 more years before we hit $231,98.94. Bottom line is if we want this paid off sooner, more people need to go to the coffee can.
I'm doing my part.
The other comment I would make, and I know we were just learning when they did this, and this was actually a lot of this, but I think if we did future development programs, I think I would make sure that we don't give 100% of some of the numbers back. We'd give a percentage, you know what I mean, like 50% or 75% back, so we are getting some benefit from it.
That inspired for.
Mr. Miller, incident reports?
I'll cover the dental stuff if you want. So we did the medical benefit renewal last time. That is through Blue Cross Blue Shield. The dental and vision is through Humana. So you can look at the dental. Our current monthly premium is $192.23. It goes up to $208.56. That's an increase of $16.33 a month, or $195.96 a year. And then the vision goes from $37.87 to $40.14. That's an increase of $2.27 a year, or a month, $27.24 a year. So if you add the two together, the dental and vision increase annually is $223.20, which I guess technically is under 500, so we don't necessarily need a vote, but I think we should vote on the benefit stuff anyway.
I'll make the motion for the vote.
Second.
Do you have to tell him that?
A motion by Chris Johnson, second by Sidak. Any further discussion, comments? Roll call. Weaver?
Yes.
Miller?
Yeah.
Pearson?
Yes.
Chris Johnson?
Yes.
Sidak?
Yes.
Philip Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
That's right. So they changed their format. It was kind of hard to read. So from 9:29 to 10:05, there was 11 calls. I couldn't tell exactly what they all were. There's 4 motor vehicle stops, 3 served papers. But I did go back over basically September, and there was 10 or 12 motor vehicle stops, and they were scattered around town. They're not all on 116. So they are changing what they're doing, like what Brian said. So that's all I have. There was a couple. One of them was auto theft in September. So that there was like a auto theft and an auto break-in on Field Goal Drive, I believe. It's probably somebody new. Jealous ex or something. I can't read it. What do you want to know?
Didn't write any of it down.
That's just part of it. That's all.
Okay.
This, they changed the.
So Brian, I'll let you talk to this.
Okay, so the next thing under new business is, so it's called Fixing Compensation for Elected Officials Ordinance. So let me back up. When we redid the code book, Title I was the administration part of the code book. When we redid that part of the code book, you all voted to change the way we pay board members and planning members. Basically moving from so much a meeting to a flat rate for the year, and we just pay it in 6 months increments, so she doesn't have to go through the process of keeping attendance and doing all that kind of stuff. So we made the numbers basically work out. So I think if you got paid for every meeting, I think it was like $1,530 some bucks a year, and we just put it a flat rate of $1,500. So that way, whether you're at the meetings or not at the meetings, you're going to get two installments of $750 for being on the board every year. We did the same thing with the planning commission. We did the same thing with the clerk position, and we did the same thing with the mayor. Although the other thing we did with the mayor was we increased the mayor total amount to be more market-based. I don't know if you remember, we looked at West Peoria and Delavan and a few others. So basically what we're saying now is there's a rule that says, I get this wrong, Shannon, yell at me, but there's a rule that says you have to be within 180 days of the election, meaning you can't get elected and then vote to change your pay, right, the next day. So you got to be within the next election to make the change. So this impacts the clerk, the mayor, and the 3 positions that are being elected in April or May of next year. And those positions are Chris Johnson, Eric, and who's the other one? Zach. So then what we'll have to do is the next time the election comes around, we'll have to do the other 3 positions then, because we have to be within 180 days.
No, we shouldn't have to.
Wouldn't it be?
I thought we already.
Shauna, we shouldn't have to redo that because then when the next 3 board members go for the election, they would just fall under the current pay that we have, correct?
Yeah, they should, because by that time you've already accepted the ordinance of in the ordinance it says though that it will become effective for the people that are elected in April.
Yeah.
Is how it was worded.
First, yeah, next year.
But we're not increasing the pay.
We're just changing it.
We're just changing how it's distributed, like the attendance. So shouldn't everybody be able to go? Because we already increased the pay
I don't
before
understand
these guys.
$1,530 anyway. It's $26 the ordinances.
I don't remember.
I swear my page says 46. I don't know whatever it is. Huh?
Well, no, because we just did an ordinance changing.
We did the Title I of the code, but to be honest with you guys, voting on this tonight and voting again in 2 years is not that big.
Well, no, but I'm going to have to keep attendance for 3 people, is what I'm saying.
I understand.
I make a motion. We accept ordinance number 24, whatever this is going to be.
Yeah, sure.
That compensation for elected officials ordinance.
Second.
That was written discussion.
And one of them is Caleb's.
So yes, Denise, I understand. We're trying to get you out of it.
Well, no, because I swear we just did this before these guys.
We increased pay.
Yeah. So.
That didn't make it fixed, I don't think.
The reason, I'm sorry.
No,
go ahead, Jen.
The reason is you can't change it during someone's term for elected officials. Elected and appointed officials are different, but elected officials, you cannot change their pay during their term.
With the
but we're not changing their pay, are we?
We're not increasing their pay. We're just changing how they get.
Just changing how it's done.
And I was appointed, so
appointed are different.
She said or not appointed.
It's an elected
Shauna, we'll
position.
take it offline and decide whether or not we can do the other 3.
You were appointed to an elected position. So
It's an elected position. You're an elected
The
position.
verbiage was confusing. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, it's not how you got it. You're an elected position. You're not an appointed position.
I have a motion by
I thought Caleb said.
I made a
Caleb
motion.
and second by Weaver. Any further discussion? And we'll roll call this one. Miller?
Yeah.
Pearson?
Yes.
Chris Johnson?
Yeah.
Syrak?
Yes.
Caleb Johnson?
Yes.
And Weaver.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Signed original to Cassandra, copy and send to Shauna and myself, please. So a while back, we asked for your input on which shirt designs that you like. We're almost out of shirts. And we're looking at shirts and hats. We budgeted $3,000 in this year's budget to do new shirts and hats. We've got copies of them in there. We're using navy and white kind of the town colors. This time we're using the actual logo, not the t-shirt design. And then you can see the quantities that we're looking at, 250 shirts and 50 hats.
200 spread between small and extra large, and 50 for 2XL only.
Yeah, 52XL. The largest sizes were the XL and the large. So the majority of those are in the. And what we did is we looked at like what we used.
Just
last
seemed like a ton of 2XLs compared to the rest of them, but
yeah.
Well, I think we ran out of those.
all right, makes sense to me.
So last year's
That's
shirts
what I
were a
was-
success.
Huh?
Last year's shirts were a success.
Yeah, we ended up with double because they printed them wrong. They had two different colors, and we went through them quickly, but we did a lot with them. These were basically what we're talking about doing, and that's what we do with them now, is anybody that new moves into town, when they come in to set up their water or whatever, we give them a free t-shirt, or if they're a family, we give them it's a welcome to the village shirt. We'll probably, if some people want to buy them, we've been charging $15 for the shirts, and we've never had the hats before, but they would be $20 for the hats just to cover our cost on the hats.
And then weren't we offering for businesses to sell them if they wanted to? Or something?
We did. A few businesses took them and tried to sell them. We didn't have a whole lot of success there. And then the other thing we did with them last time, we can decide whether we want to do it again. But since there's going to be an election, we'll have a community night this coming spring, May or whatever. So, and we gave away free shirts then. The question is, do we want to do that again, or do we want to have a raffle and give a few away, or whatever?
Yeah, see how many we have left by then.
And this is the design that we're going to go with?
Yeah, we didn't go with prints on both sides this time because of the cost. It was cheaper just to print on one side. Last time we had some that had on both sides. We had multiple colors.
We have a model right
Yeah. That's the shirt I like the best.
I don't.
That's your problem.
Yeah, and this time we asked people as we went into it which design you liked, and if you wanted them front and back, and I think the majority wanted this design on front. So the answer is yes, this is what we're recommending at this point. Hats, navy blue shirts. The last ones lasted, 2 years? But we had 500 of them. This time we're only getting
Unless they messed the order up.
Can't believe that's right. Oh, well, that's right, because it was double now.
And like I said, the total cost is $2,900, and we budgeted $3,000 for this year.
I like it.
Make a motion to approve the $2,900 to Princeville Prints shirts and hats.
Second.
Motion by Pearson, second by Sidak. Any further discussion? We'll roll call it. Pearson? Yes. Chris Johnson?
Yeah.
Sidak?
Yes.
Caleb
Yes.
Johnson? Weaver?
Yes.
Miller?
Yeah.
Motion carried.
The next one is just a question I had, is whether or not you guys would be pro or con. I was thinking about offering, I've taught financial literacy in the past, and I was thinking about just offering a free class for people, residents in town, doing it right out of here. The lawyers say I'm okay as long as I don't charge or do anything that we don't do for other folks. So if I decide to do that, is that something you guys are okay with me doing? Or
That's great.
it would be free, it would be voluntary, it would be.
We got people in town that I think would really benefit from that. How would you get it out?
We'd probably just
The
put
app?
an ad out on the app with a sign up and basically however many seats we got in here. Once it fills up, assuming it fills up, then I'd cut it off and we'd do it.
75,
Thank you.
80.
He tells me it's coincidence that as soon as I got the finance chair, he sets up a finance.
He's like, this is what we got for the finance chair in town.
We
This
better
town
need
needs
to
some
learn
money.
something.
I enjoy doing it. It seems like it's helpful to people. So cool. Thank you. Did you want to talk about the election with caucuses at all? I made a note.
Oh, okay. Well, sure, they're going to be.
They put it on the spot.
Most votes wins.
Well, yeah, it's a caucus, so people show up. One party goes to the park district, and the other party comes here, and you're kind of assigned a party based on your chair, your seat, wherever you're at. So it's not really, and then they just say, yes, we want to nominate this person, that person. And then we sign papers, and then that gets filed, and then you get on the election for April.
When is this?
It is the first Tuesday of December, so that will be the 3rd, and that happens to be a meeting night. So we will be doing the caucus after the meeting, because it cannot be held before 6 o'clock. So we'll have to have a fast meeting.
And you
Who's all of this?
and we have to end the
it's
meeting by a certain time.
Chris,
then.
Zach, and you.
And you can't just
Yes.
you can't just say it's going to happen after the meeting. You're going to have to set a time because that.
Well, no. I'm going to set a time. That's why I said you guys are going to have to be real quick.
Oh, so you were only on a 2 year.
You were on a 2-year unexpired term. Zach was on a 2-year, and so is.
When do I get up?
Jeff.
Well, it was Jeff.
Yeah, but Chris is appointed, so he has to go for.
So we have 2
Yeah.
year and 4 year terms.
That was in 20.
So it'll be 2 years.
It'll be 2 years in April. So we have to get all this stuff done so you can get on the April election.
So then you'd be running for a 4-year seat.
Yeah,
once
you'll be
everything's
running for
cycled
4
through.
years. So then we'll be back, so nobody else can.
Your point is you don't have a choice. You have to be on the next general election, and then you are running for the rest of the 2 years that you're running for the 2 years that was left, which you won. So you served the remainder of the first 2. You won the seat on the second 2. Next time you run, it's for a full term then. So yeah, sometimes it's 4 to 5 people on the ballot because we have multiple appointees, and they all have to run for a combination of 4 years and 2 years. And the 1 year I did it, I actually jumped. I abandoned the rest of my 2 year, ran for an empty 4-year seat. That way, I wouldn't have to run again in 2 years. So because we had 4 people turning over, so. Yeah.
So most likely we'll run the meeting from like 6 to 7:30, have the caucuses at 7:30, and then be out of here by 8.
Well, you can't say 7:30 because.
Well, should we say 8 o'clock?
Because for those people that go down to the gym, we have to be there before 7:30 or the
So you have to end the
Yeah, the
meeting by
door's closed and
7:15.
locked. You can't.
Okay, well, we can make it 8.
Well, no, we'll make it 8 o'clock. It's going to be a late night, but the door does lock. Like you will not be able to come in.
Well, if it's like previous years, it'll start at 8 and end at 8:08.
Yeah.
Because they'll be the people that are running again.
So now somebody can come in, whoever comes to the meeting. Somebody has to nominate
A
whoever.
president, a secretary.
Yeah, but you also you have to say like Zach. I nominate Zach. Somebody has to say that.
Yeah. Bring somebody to nominate you. If you're
Yeah.
running.
So ask somebody to come to nominate.
Can you check with Phil McInerney?
So
I don't know him.
Well, he's always done the one down there for us.
He's not going to be.
Well, and
Yeah.
see, I just said I didn't because technically you're supposed to say who ask for people to be the chair.
So can I be a chair?
You can.
So I can do the one here.
You have to be a
can.
resident.
Oh yeah. So I'm in charge of I've taken on the role of the committee. So I have to
So
post
board,
it in
can
the
board
paper.
members be chairs?
No.
If you're going to be nominated, no.
Well, if you're not going to be nominated, I think you
Well,
can
can I chair
the
the 1 year
caucus.
since I'm already going to be here?
Yeah, I can.
think-
I will have to
I
see.
think I think somebody not up for election could chair the meeting though. It's just chairing the caucus. You're not influencing anything.
Right.
Yeah, I think. I don't know why you wouldn't.
All you're really doing is
I'm pretty
filling
sure
out all
Fred
the paperwork
chaired
that needs to be filled out.
Yeah.
When he was mayor.
Yeah, I think he did when he wasn't up for election. I think he chaired it. Yeah.
Well, 'cause I
But
know,
you're up for election.
like
right?
Myrna
Wait,
chaired
what-
one, and I think Fred.
Yeah.
Fred did the other.
Big E's gonna run against you.
So first Tuesday
Bring
in
the heat.
December, I gotta just go to the regular meeting right after I'll go to a caucus.
I can see the signs.
What,
No
I have to
sleeves.
bring someone now.
Well,
Someone's gotta
you just
nominate
have to have
you.
somebody
It can't
to
be someone
nominate.
you're like,
He can be me.
He can, yeah.
it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so if I'm in
Anybody.
there,
Somebody has to nominate you.
do you know which party he is?
Sorry.
I think
I just want to know what I got to plan. So
Caleb Peoples is here, right?
I never remember this
Citizens
nonsense.
there.
These randomly assigned parties in this caucus thing. I never remember what's what.
Well,
Okay.
I think we're
all the
the
time we've
only
done
town
it,
around.
you ever had it been opposed? Has anybody ever been
I was
opposed?
gonna ask that.
Not since
Well,
I've
no,
been
but there
voted
was,
out.
I mean, there was one that I heard that there was one, like a mayor was
Yeah,
at
That
each
was-
caucus.
before I got, that was a long time ago.
And then, so that means that both
Other than going
Party.
I think they showed up at the one and saw the other one was in it and
they
ran to
ran
the other
to
one
the other.
before they locked the door. That way they didn't, because the election would have been decided right there. Because whoever came out of the caucus would have been running unopposed. So
Yeah.
that was way before I got on.
And Zach and Eric are the People's Party, so you would be the Citizens Party, but I can't remember
I think Citizens is at the park. I
who
think.
was at
That's what I
the.
was gonna say too.
I think Citizens-
I was here the last time, but I don't know.
So
You were?
Yeah.
Your peoples?
Okay,
I
so
saw
then
your
you're
Citizens
down at the
people
park. And then what were you?
So who else is from here?
Were you?
I'm down there.
So you're
You're
the part.
Citizens.
Yeah,
Party.
I'm Citizens.
I don't know what I am. To be honest.
You're People's because you're here.
I guess I have been here for this. So I guess I
Oh,
would be.
get it.
Yeah.
So if we have people, there, I don't have to like ask my neighbors to show up. That's what I'm getting at. Okay.
One
That's
person
all
needs to
I need.
nominate
You
you.
just have to get.
But
Have your
if
wife
like
come
5
nominate.
people show up down there, there's one seat available for the Citizens Party. Then there's going to be 5 people nominated to run, and then how many can come out of there? I guess it takes a vote. I guess one.
Everybody has to
The
vote.
chances of there being 5 people for one seat.
They're like 0. There's never 5 people at the total caucus usually. There have been years I had to be nominated by the chair when I was the only person running for my party because no one else was there. Especially if my wife couldn't make it.
When I ran for mayor, it was me, Rod, Fred, and that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, and Pam.
Well, and I, you know, a lot of people don't show up to the caucus because they just are like, I'll just vote.
Like
in
nobody shows up to the
April.
caucus.
Well,
But whoever we beg to be the chair.
but it would
the
cost
candidate.
us a lot of money to change it to just the general election. So we
Who got the
kept
most
it.
votes last time?
Caleb.
He beat me by like 4.
I think I came in last.
That's right, you did. You joking about it.
Well, that's. I spent a lot of years being last because it would be like Rod on the thing, and Steer, and
People know.
and so and some of the other older, and so there'd be like 38 votes cast, and they would have like 38, 38, 37, and I'd have like 30. I'm like, 6 people decided no one.
Well, because
I was running up.
they may not vote. because-
Shauna, we're done with you if you want to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, the years that when I was running as trustee, it would be like whoever was on my ballot with me as the other trustees would be like, 30, 35, 8. And I was like, what the heck?
Don't know that name.
Because people don't know. The people that go and vote
As long as I voted for myself.
don't
it's okay.
necessarily know who you
Same
are.
thing here.
So they rather
Every year
not
I've been on this
vote
board as long as I showed up. Put
for
my
that
vote in.
position because they don't know.
Okay, couple things that I want to bring up real quick.
This is just all the legalese of it. That's
Okay. We're good.
really all it is.
There
Just
is
tell me where to go. I'll be there.
Okay.
I don't have any friends in town except for my wife and you. So
well
Let's do that.
on November
That was it,
20th.
right?
On November 20th, between 8 and 5 in Springfield, they're having a disaster recovery in rural jurisdictions seminar, free training. If anybody would like to attend, let me know. I can forward it to you. Disaster. And the last thing. That's all I had. That other one was canceled already. So that's all I have. Anybody else have anything come before the board? Our next meeting is November 5th, 2024.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. So meeting adjourned.